In the shadows of wealth and privilege, a phantom thief executed perfect crimes with surgical precision, leaving only taunting notes behind. "You'll never catch me," they promised. But even the most brilliant criminals make mistakes, and Detective Mariana Blackwood knew that sometimes justice hinges on the smallest details, like a crumpled receipt that would shatter an illusion of invincibility and expose secrets buried beneath Oak Ridge Heights' polished facade. The shattered glass from the French doors glistened like diamonds across the marble floor of Judge Sofia Mendonca's study. Early morning sunlight streamed through the broken panes, illuminating floating dust particles in its path. Detective Mariana Blackwood crouched beside the ornate mahogany desk, her dark eyes narrowing as she examined the crisp white note left prominently atop a stack of legal briefs. "You'll never catch me," she read aloud, her voice carrying a controlled calm that contrasted with the tension permeating the room. Same handwriting, same cardstock, same arrogance. Outside, the exclusive Oak Ridge Heights neighborhood was waking up to the news that their sense of security had once again been violated. This marked the 7th home invasion in 3 months, each targeting the community's most prominent residents, each leaving the victims with empty safes and the same taunting message. Captain Antonio Carvalho paced behind her, his weathered face tight with frustration. "The commissioner called me directly on this one, Blackwood. Judge Mendonca isn't just another wealthy resident. She's a federal judge with powerful connections. We need results." Mariana rose slowly, her slender frame belying the intensity with which she approached her work. At 36, she'd built a reputation for solving cases that left others baffled, largely due to her photographic memory and unconventional methods. The security system was disabled at exactly 2:17. "Kem," reported Beatriz Almeida, Mariana's partner, entering the room with a tablet displaying security logs. "Same as the others, a clean bypass that left no digital fingerprints. Whoever this is knows these systems intimately." Mariana circled the room slowly, absorbing every detail. What was taken? Family heirlooms, jewelry valued at approximately $300,000, and a rare first-edition book collection. Judge Sophia replied from the doorway, her voice steady despite the violation of her home. The judge's silver-streaked black hair was pulled back in a severe bun, her posture rigid as she surveyed the damage. "But my private safe in the office remains untouched. The thief never found it." Mariana's attention shifted to a small circular stain on the corner of the desk, a coffee ring that seemed out of place in the otherwise immaculate room. "Do you drink coffee at your desk, Judge Mendonca?" The judge looked perplexed. "Never. I don't allow food or beverages near my work." Leaning closer, Mariana detected the faint aroma of hazelnut and cinnamon, an unusual combination. She pulled out her phone and added this detail to her notes, alongside photographs of the scene. "We've increased patrols in the neighborhood," Captain Antonio announced, more for the judge's benefit than Mariana's. "And I'm assigning additional detectives to support Blackwood and Almeida." "That won't be necessary," Mariana interjected, still focused on the coffee stain. "What we need isn't more manpower. It's pattern recognition." She turned to face the judge. "Our thief makes no mistakes, leaves no evidence, except perhaps this time. This coffee stain doesn't belong here, which means it might belong to our phantom." The precinct buzzed with activity as Mariana pinned photographs of all 7 crime scenes onto the incident board. Beatriz worked nearby, compiling data from security companies and witness statements. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the blinds, creating alternating bands of light and darkness across their workspace. "All victims are high-profile residents of Oak Ridge Heights," Mariana noted, stepping back to examine the board. "A district attorney, a neurosurgeon, a tech CEO, a state senator, 2 financial executives, and now Judge Mendonca." Beatriz looked up from her computer. "I've found another connection. Eduardo Santos installed or updated security systems in all 7 homes within the last year through his company, Elite Shield Security." Mariana raised an eyebrow. "Interesting. Let's pay Mr. Santos a visit tomorrow, but first, I want to re-interview some of the previous victims." Later that evening, a charity gala at the Oak Ridge Heights Country Club provided the perfect opportunity to observe the neighborhood's elite in their natural habitat. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the gathering of Massachusetts' most influential citizens. Mariana, dressed in a simple black evening gown, moved through the crowd with practiced ease, listening more than speaking. "Detective Blackwood, what a pleasant surprise," a smooth voice remarked behind her. Mariana turned to find Leonardo Vieira, the renowned art dealer whose gallery was a cornerstone of the local cultural scene. His tailored suit and carefully styled dark hair spoke of wealth and attention to detail. "I don't often see members of law enforcement at these functions." "Mr. Vieira," she acknowledged with a slight nod. Sometimes the best way to understand a community is to observe its social dynamics. His eyes glinted with interest. "And what have you observed so far?" "That wealth doesn't guarantee security," she replied, studying his reaction. "I'm investigating the recent burglaries." "Ah yes, troubling business. I've enhanced my gallery's security as a precaution. Perhaps I could show you the system sometime. I've acquired some fascinating new pieces that might interest you." Before Mariana could respond, Judge Sophia approached, tension evident in her rigid posture. "Detective Blackwood, any progress on my case?" "We're pursuing several leads," Mariana answered diplomatically, noting the subtle shift in Leonardo's expression at the judge's arrival, a momentary tightening around his eyes, quickly masked by a charming smile. The following morning brought Mariana to a tree-lined street where the third burglary had occurred. Something had been nagging at her about the surveillance footage from a neighboring property. Reviewing it again on her tablet, she spotted something she'd missed, a small white object blown by the wind across the driveway hours after the crime. Retracing the potential path, she searched the area meticulously until she found it wedged beneath a storm drain grate, a crumpled receipt, partially obscured by dirt and water damage. Back at the precinct, Captain Antonio's patience was wearing thin. "The mayor's office calls. Me daily now, Blackwood. Tell me you have something concrete." "Perhaps," she replied, carefully placing the receipt in an evidence bag. "This was found near the Peterson residence. It's from a coffee shop, the Daily Grind, dated the morning of their break-in." "A coffee receipt? That's your big lead?" the captain scoffed. Mariana's eyes held a quiet confidence. Sometimes the smallest threads, when pulled, unravel the entire tapestry. As she spoke, forensic analyst Mateus Oliveira entered with preliminary findings that would change everything. Morning fog clung to the streets as Mariana pushed open the door to the Daily Grind, a quaint coffee shop nestled between high-end boutiques in downtown Oak Ridge. The warm aroma of freshly ground beans enveloped her as she approached the counter where Isabella Costa, a barista with vibrant blue-tipped hair, greeted her with a smile that faded when Mariana showed her badge. "I'm investigating a series of burglaries," Mariana explained, placing the evidence bag containing the recovered receipt on the counter. "This was found near one of the crime scenes. The date stamp shows it was issued at 6:43 a.m. on March 12th. Isabella examined the faded paper through the plastic. "That's a specialty order. Hazelnut latte with cinnamon dust and an extra shot. Not many customers order that combination." "Do you remember who might have purchased this?" The barista's brow furrowed in concentration. "We have regulars who come in at that hour, mostly professionals heading to early meetings. There's a guy who gets something similar, always pays with the loyalty app on his phone." Her eyes widened with sudden recognition. "Wait, this has part of a loyalty number printed at the bottom." Mariana leaned forward. "Can you check your system for a match?" While Isabella searched the database, Mariana studied the wall of local flyers and business cards. One caught her eye, an advertisement for an upcoming exhibition at Vieira Gallery, featuring recovered historical artifacts. "Here it is," Isabella announced triumphantly. "The loyalty number belongs to a Leonardo Vieira. He comes in a few times a week, always early morning, always the same order." Back at the precinct, Beatrice had uncovered something significant. "I've been researching connections between the victims," she explained, spreading documents across their shared desk. 5 years ago, Judge Mendonça presided over a controversial case involving rezoning in what is now the northern section of Oak Ridge Heights. All 7 victims were either directly involved in the case or benefited from the decision. "Who lost?" Mariana asked, her mind already connecting threads. "Dozens of small business owners and residents were forced out when their properties were seized through eminent domain. One name stood out: Rodrigo Ferreira, a real estate developer who opposed the project and lost everything." Mariana nodded thoughtfully. "Add him to our suspect list, and I want everything you can find on Leonardo Vieira." By mid-afternoon, a clearer picture was emerging. Rodrigo Ferreira had rebuilt his fortune over the past 5 years and now owned several properties throughout Massachusetts. Eduardo Santos had previously worked for a security firm, that went bankrupt after the rezoning, the same firm that had installed systems in many of the displaced businesses. As for Leonardo Vieira, his gallery had opened 3 years ago, quickly becoming a favorite among Oak Ridge Heights elite. His background check showed no criminal record, but Mateus from forensics had discovered something crucial about the receipt. "I managed to lift a partial fingerprint from the edge," he reported, excitement evident in his voice. "It was contaminated by water and dirt, but I enhanced what was recoverable and ran it through our database." "And," Mariana prompted, "it's not in our criminal database, but there was a match in another system. The print belongs to someone who underwent a background check for a professional license within the last 5 years." As the pieces began falling into place, Mariana received a call from Camila Ribeiro, one of the earlier victims. Her voice trembled with urgency. "Detective Blackwood, there's something I didn't tell you before, something I saw the night before the break-in." Camila Ribeiro's elegant townhouse sat at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, its manicured garden a stark contrast to the fear evident in her eyes as she ushered Mariana inside. Late afternoon shadows stretched across her living room, where valuable spaces on the walls marked the absence of stolen artwork. "I should have mentioned this sooner," Camilla began, hands clasped tightly in her lap. "The evening before the break-in, I noticed someone parked across the street, a dark sedan. The driver was watching my house. I thought it might be one of my husband's business associates, but now I'm not so sure." "Did you see the driver?" Mariana asked, pen poised over her notebook. "Not clearly, but—" Camilla hesitated. "I saw him at the Thompsons' dinner party last month. He was discussing art with Judge Sophia, tall, impeccably dressed, with this distinctive watch that caught the light." "Leonardo Vieira?" Mariana suggested, showing a photograph on her phone. Camilla's face paled. "Yes, that's him. I didn't make the connection until I saw him again at the charity auction last week. He bid on several pieces, including one that resembled a painting stolen from my collection." Across town, Beatrice was interviewing Eduardo Santos at his security company headquarters, a sleek, modern office space filled with monitors displaying various client properties. "All 7 systems were different models with unique encryption," Eduardo explained, defensive frustration evident in his voice. "The only way to bypass them all would require intimate knowledge of each system's vulnerabilities. Knowledge someone like you would possess," Beatrice noted. Eduardo's eyes flashed with anger. "I built this company from nothing after losing everything in that rezoning disaster. Why would I jeopardize that by targeting my own clients?" "Perhaps for revenge against those who destroyed your previous employer," Beatrice suggested. "If I wanted revenge, Detective, I wouldn't steal trinkets and leave notes. I'd expose their corruption, the bribes, the insider deals that Judge Mendonça and her friends orchestrated." He slid a folder across the desk. "I've been gathering evidence for a civil suit. Everything in there is legally obtained and documented." Meanwhile, Mariana had returned to the forensics lab, where Mateus was completing his analysis of the professional license database matches. 3 names came up with potential fingerprint matches, he reported, displaying the results. A security specialist, an art appraiser, and Leonardo Vieira, Mariana finished, studying the screen. "Yes, from his art dealer license application," Mateus confirmed. "The match is 87% confident, which is high considering the degraded state of the sample." Captain Antonio entered the lab, his expression grave. "Blackwood, we have a situation. Judge Mendonça just reported receiving another note at her office. This one's different." The note, delivered in an unmarked envelope, was addressed specifically to Detective Mariana Blackwood. "Clever detective finding my little mistake, but you're still missing the bigger picture. Some stains never wash out. Look deeper into the judge's closet. She has skeletons more valuable than her jewelry." As evening descended, Mariana stood in Judge Sophia's chambers, examining the opulent space for clues. The judge appeared genuinely shaken by the personal nature of the new message. "These accusations are baseless," she insisted. "Someone is trying to derail your investigation with false implications." But Mariana's instincts told her otherwise. "Judge Mendonça, I need access to all files related to the Oak Ridge Heights rezoning case. Court records, personal notes, everything." Sophia's momentary hesitation spoke volumes. "Those records are sealed by court order." "Then I'll get a warrant," Mariana replied quietly. "Because our thief isn't just stealing possessions. They're hunting for something specific, something worth ruining reputations to protect." Rain pounded against the windows of the precinct as Mariana studied surveillance footage of Leonardo Vieira's gallery. For 3 days, she'd been building a case, meticulously connecting threads that painted a disturbing picture. The art dealer's movements showed regular interactions with all 7 victims in the months preceding their burglaries, always in social settings that wouldn't raise suspicion. His fingerprint on the receipt places him near the Peterson crime scene, Beatrice noted, adding photographs to their evidence board. And financial records show he purchased security equipment similar to what would be needed to bypass the systems. Captain Antonio frowned at the assembled evidence. It's all circumstantial. We need something concrete before we move on someone with Vieira's connections. There's more, Mariana replied, sliding a folder across the desk. Eduardo Santos provided documentation suggesting Judge Mendonça and the other victims were involved in a coordinated effort to manipulate the rezoning case. Backroom deals, selective evidence suppression, it's all there. And how does this connect to our thief? Mariana pointed to an old newspaper photograph. I found this in the archives. The rezoning destroyed dozens of businesses, including a small art restoration shop owned by Victor Vieira, Leonardo's father. 6 months after losing his business, Victor committed suicide. The captain's expression sobered. Revenge motive. Not just revenge, Mariana corrected. Justice. Each burglary targeted specific items: the judge's first edition books, the DA's antique watches, the financial executive's document safes. He wasn't just stealing valuables, he was looking for evidence. A knock at the door interrupted them as Mateus entered with an evidence bag. We found something interesting in the Peterson security footage after enhancing a reflection in their hallway. Chimera. The thief was wearing this distinctive watch. The photograph showed an elegant timepiece with a unique celestial design on its face. Mariana immediately recognized it from the charity gala. Leonardo had worn it while discussing art with Judge Sophia. Just then, Mariana's phone chimed with a text message from an unknown number. You're getting warmer, detective. Tomorrow night, all will be revealed. Vieira Gallery, 8 p.m. Come alone if you want the final piece of the puzzle. It's him, she breathed, showing the others. He's escalating the game. This is exactly what we need, the captain declared. We'll set up surveillance and take him when he shows. No, Mariana countered firmly. If we show force, we'll never get the evidence he's collected. I need to go alone as requested. That's not happening, Blackwood. He won't hurt me, she insisted. He wants an audience, someone to witness his endgame. This isn't about violence, it's about exposure. Later that evening, while reviewing case files in her apartment, Mariana discovered something she'd overlooked: a connection between Leonardo and Rodrigo Ferreira. Property records showed that Rodrigo had purchased the building housing Vieira Gallery 3 years ago, leasing it to Leonardo at a significantly reduced rate. The next morning brought another message, this one delivered directly to her desk. Detective, tonight's exhibition is titled Karmic Justice. Don't miss the unveiling of my masterpiece, the truth Oak Ridge Heights has buried for 5 years. As dusk approached, promotional materials appeared across social media, announcing a surprise exhibition at Vieira Gallery. The exclusive event promised to showcase artifacts of corruption and greed recovered from those who thought themselves above the law. Judge Sophia called Mariana in a panic. You need to stop this exhibition. Vieira is planning to display confidential documents illegally obtained from my home and others. What documents exactly? Mariana asked, her suspicion confirmed by the judge's telling silence. That's not relevant. Just stop him. As Mariana prepared for the confrontation, she knew she was walking into a carefully orchestrated finale. Leonardo had planned every move in their game of shadows, but he'd made one critical miscalculation, underestimating how far she would go to uncover the complete truth, no matter who it implicated. Chapter 6. Justice Served. Cold, 650 words. The Vieira Gallery glowed like a beacon in the night, its modernist facade illuminated by strategic spotlights that cast dramatic shadows across the entrance. A small but exclusive crowd of Oak Ridge Heights' most influential residents mingled inside, champagne flutes in hand, unaware they were about to become witnesses to the unmasking of their community's darkest secrets. Mariana entered alone as requested, though Beatrice and a tactical team waited discreetly nearby. The gallery's main exhibition space had been transformed into what could only be described as a meticulous crime scene. Display cases housed items from each burglary, accompanied by damning documents and photographs that told a story of corruption spanning years. "Welcome to the grand finale, Detective Blackwood." Leonardo Vieira emerged from behind a partition, impeccably dressed in a black suit that seemed to absorb the gallery's light. His smile held no warmth, only vindication. "What do you think of my collection?" "Impressive," Mariana acknowledged, surveying the room. "Though displaying stolen property is a bold move, even for someone as careful as you." Leonardo's laugh echoed softly against the gallery's high ceilings. "Is it stolen if it was acquired through illegal means in the first place? Judge Sophia's precious first editions were purchased with bribe money. The DA's watches were gifts from developers seeking favorable treatment." He guided her to the exhibition's centerpiece, a wall of documents protected behind glass. 5 years ago, these 7 individuals conspired to force dozens of families and businesses out of their homes for personal gain. My father's art restoration shop had been in our family for 3 generations. When he lost everything, he had nothing left to live for. "So this was never about the items," Mariana observed. "It was about finding evidence of their corruption. Evidence they thought was safely hidden in their homes," Leonardo confirmed, his composure slipping momentarily to reveal raw grief. "I left the coffee stain deliberately, Detective. It was time for the game to end." The gallery doors opened as Captain Antonio entered with several officers. Leonardo made no attempt to flee, instead gesturing grandly toward his exhibition. "Perfect timing, Captain. I've prepared quite the show for you." "Leonardo Vieira, you're under arrest for multiple counts of burglary," Antonio announced, nodding to his officers. As they approached with handcuffs, Leonardo remained eerily calm. "Before you take me away, Detective Blackwood, you should know there's one final piece to this puzzle." He glanced meaningfully toward a small display case near the entrance. "Not everything is as it appears." Inside the case lay a single key card with the Elite Shield security logo, identical to the one Eduardo Santos carried. Beside it sat a photograph of Eduardo and Rodrigo Ferreira in deep conversation at an event 6 months earlier. Understanding dawned as Mariana connected the final threads. "You had help." Leonardo smiled enigmatically as the officers led him away. "Justice has many servants, Detective. Some wear badges, some break into homes, and some simply provide the right tools at the right time." In the days that followed, the evidence Leonardo had assembled proved irrefutable. Judge Sofia Mendonça and the other victims faced federal charges for corruption, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The art dealer's meticulous documentation, combined with Eduardo's records, exposed a conspiracy that had destroyed countless lives for profit. 3 months later, Mariana visited Leonardo at the minimum security facility where he awaited trial. Through the visiting room glass, he appeared at peace with his fate. "Was it worth it?" she asked. "My father can rest now," he replied simply. "The truth is finally known." As Mariana rose to leave, Leonardo called after her, "Detective, check your coat pocket." Inside, she found a small handwritten note. "The game isn't over. The receipt was just the beginning. Not all accomplices have been caught. Some still wear badges and sit behind desks of power. Keep looking." Mariana glanced back at Leonardo, who offered only an enigmatic smile before guards led him away, leaving her with the unsettling certainty that justice in Oak Ridge Heights remained incomplete.